You know, part of what makes GSL so sick is that you take these god tier legend players who are so exceptional and care so much about the game and practice hours and hours a day and give so much to the game, everything to the game, learning every little intricate in and out, and they become these monsters, these legends, these infallible machines. And there's like 50 of those guys, and you put them in a 32-man tournament. So you get these insidious matchups where it's legitimately two heavyweight contender tier players, two knuckle dusters, two S-class Gosus, two fucking sluggers, two legends. I mean, two guys that are gonna knock the shit out of each other and are just fucking incredible, and you wish you could see them play a best of 9. You're gonna get that in the round of 32. That was the reality of this first GSL, and this first GSL, a part of the Swarm, I should say. I am doing another series called the Gregathon, where I look back at the first GSLs and Wings of Liberty, so a bit of slip of the tongue there. Make sure you check out that series too. But it's 1-to-1 here, highest quality possible. Weirdly, even in 2013, the good old paywalling geniuses at GomTV managed to make the VOD look 480p. This is the best I can do. I can't upgrade the source quality of the recordings or view the games in the normal StarCraft 2 replay client, as I wish I could. I wish I could just do all these games from replay and we wouldn't have to fuck with VODs, but it's not the reality of the situation. And as GomTV has done a shit job of cataloging any of these VODs and finding them is at least a 20-minute process, even if you really know what you're doing and know where to look, it's important that they be cataloged, and all of these games are sourced. I'm not trying to rip these off, but I'm not making a dime from any of these videos, and I clearly just love the game and want to share these videos and games and preserve the history of StarCraft. So now that that's out of the way, we can talk about the rubber match of this incredible round of 32 group, Rain and Innovation. These two are facing off, and this, remember, is just the first game of the group, so even if Innovation loses here, he's not out. But isn't it just incredible? I mean, if you know how good Innovation and Rain are at their peak and how good they are as macro players, it's almost jaw-dropping to sit there and consider, yeah, they were the first match in the round of 32. That's what makes GSL so knock your doors off, jaw-dropping, incredible, as you're sitting there saying, well, it's the round of 16, a round of 8, round of 32. How could one of these guys get defeated and get eliminated? These are supposed to be finalist tier guys. You look at the modern GSL. Maru lost in the round of 16 to a Protoss player the other day. How jaw-dropping is that? Maru, the 4th race. A guy who is just known to be untouchable in many ways. So good at bio. A god tier player. No, knocked out in the first round. That's part of why GSL is so incredible, is there were so many god tier Koreans that you sit there and say, well, I mean, one of these motherfuckers is going to have to advance. I don't understand how we're going to have to eliminate one. If you consider the newness of Heart of the Swarm and how this was an era that really wasn't understood completely, mixed with the fact that you had all the known legends facing off against all of the players who were god tier in Brood War, but no one really knew how good they would be in StarCraft 2. This is what made this era so exciting to watch, is because you had GSL, an already god tier top of the line tournament that every StarCraft 2 fan loved, just like it is today. You add on the fact that, oh yeah, there might be 32 legitimately top tier Koreans in the last GSL or second to last GSL in Wings of Liberty. However, at the beginning of this Heart of the Swarm, Flash, Jaedong, all these motherfuckers are switching over. Although it is worth noting, because Jaedong joined EG, he was in the fucking WCS America, which is like, that's a lot of what Artosis was talking about as far as, oh well, that was when people were trying to kill the game. Yeah, it fractured the shit out of the Korean player base. If you look at how good the round of 32 was, in this GSL, it should have been better. Like, that's how deep Korea was and how incredible Korea was. They lost names like Polt and Tasia and MVP, and it was still this fucking good. Just really weird to think about. But regardless, Innovation is taking up Period 2 bio. Back in Wings of Liberty, Mech was never used versus Protoss because of how good the Immortal was with the Hardened Shield ability. And even going into Heart of the Swarm, it was pretty much, if you were going to make any units from the factory, it was going to be Hellbats to defeat Zealots or Widow Mines for Harass. You didn't see Widow Mine drop as much as you do now, which is weird because of how good the Widow Mine was back in the day. But I think that has more to do with the economy scale and how you can almost just jump right in to the mid game now in Legacy of the Void. Whereas back in this time, in Heart of the Swarm, there was way more of a build-up. And I don't know if this is something that I'm biased for because this is when I really liked the era the most, I think. But it feels like the scaling of the game and the way that people had to go into their third bases was way more proper. Because we see Zerg players now and it's like they have a third base, damn near after their natural finishes. It just doesn't feel right. If I look back in this era, players were on 2 base for way longer. The minerals and gas lasted way longer, and on some level that was bad, but on some level I feel like it produced some more interesting effects. His Innovation is going to have to pull all of his SCVs here to defeat this absolutely brutal 2 Colossus timing. We can see force fields come up here, double slow field, as I'm a little bit rusty casting. Whatever the hell that slow ability was called, it still exists, but it's on the mothership for Christ's sake. But we can see Stalkers being warped in here, and this is on the pylon. Remember, you didn't have to have the warp prism to do warp get all ins. This is the old 4-second warp in. Innovation doing his best to try to snipe down the Colossus with the Marauders, but as the third Colossus joins, it looks like Innovation is going to be broken here. So he was desperately trying to macro and take his third, and it just will not work out. Just a brilliant little timing from Rain, as Rain whipped out the 3 Colossi push here. This was when the Colossi did a sick amount of damage, splash that is, and before the Disruptor, so there were a lot more Colossi-centric strats. As another enforcement pylon goes up there, you love to see that. And Innovation sort of sitting there to himself like, wow, I'm actually going to lose in this group, in the first match of this group, which we're going to continue to look at Innovation here and what he did. It's almost jaw-dropping to consider he lost this first match, but it just goes to show how good Rain was and how good the competition was. Sub for more, bell notification, Innovation looking down there saying, wow, so close.